All right, everybody, welcome back. Okay, I hope that was fun getting to connect with other people. If maybe people could drop in the chat some of the tools that they heard. Or you can come off mute and just say it. BCS garden tractor and stirrup hoe. Wonderful. We're gonna have a stirrup hoe demonstration earlier. Later. Shout out to Kaylor. Love a stirrup hoe. Anyone else? Yeah, more about what you do because you're trying to make to learn how to make gardening easier. Awesome. Well, great. So we'll go ahead and get started. This is a very informal session. It's a show and tell. So let's take ourselves back to kindergarten. We're bringing our favorite frog to our kindergarten class to share, but with our tools. So I have some folks that have signed up ahead of time who have sent some videos in. So how I thought we could do this is I'll go through those folks first who sent some videos, and if they're here, then they'll get to kind of have a time for answering any questions from the rest of y'all about that tool or piece of equipment. And then after that, we can either go with people who private message me. If you message me that you want to sign up, I'll add you to the list and just call your name out. Or we can go straight into, after we're done with the list, just people unmuting themselves and talking about their favorite tools. Or maybe you're asking questions about, have you heard of this particular thing? That sort of deal. All right, how does that sound? Good, okay, all right. So we're gonna kick off with Darren. Darren, I don't know if you wanna come off mute and say something about your chainsaw videos before we get started.
Oh yeah, hi everyone. Just wanted to let you know that unfortunately I didn't have the opportunity to get to the correct PPE that I was supposed to use for the video, just because I have the chainsaw in the truck, but not always have a hard hat and necessarily the correct chaps on it. But I hope it's informative, and if there's any other questions on it, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Cool. I'm gonna screen share. Can everyone see it? We're good? Okay, let me know if the sound's wonky and we'll adjust things.
Also, when checking out your chainsaw.
Let me start with the first one, hold on.
Now, when using the sorry about it, guys. We had to split them up when I was trying to send them over to Charlotte. We have a few issues, so.
Yeah, sorry, hold on 1 second, y'all. I scrambled them right in the last minute. This is it. This is the first one.
Just impressed you did a video for us to see. That's awesome.
Isn't that so cool? Thank you so much for doing that, Darren.
Hey, it's no problem. It took a little while, but I kind of enjoyed doing it. I needed to practice anyway, right? Hi, I'm Darren Beecham, and I just wanted to go over a few tips and tricks on using a 2-stroke engine and a 440 Husqvarna chainsaw. First, whenever you're using a chainsaw, you always want to make sure that you have good fuel level and a good bar oil levels. And you'll be using a 2-cycle engine oil mix with regular gasoline Me personally, I prefer to use either 89 or higher grade of gasoline to make sure to try to minimize as many contaminants as possible in your two-stroke engine. Your gasoline mix will go here, and your chain lubricant or your bar oil will go in this area. And that lubricant is used to make sure that the chain turns freely. Now, just going over a couple of the different implements of a chainsaw. Here, you have your chain brake. This is used to allow the chain to spin freely if you want to stop it as forward as possible. And now that chain is locked. Bring it back, and then now you have a free spinning.
All right, y'all, I'm pulling up the next one. Thank you for your patience.
Look at your chain tension on the bar. You want to keep it tight, but not too tight where it still spins freely, but never want it loose, because then that kind of dulls out the chain and you'll be swapping them out a lot quicker. Here, here's your throttle, your choke, and your pull cord, and also your primer button. And when you're starting your chainsaw, you may want to prime it 3 to 5 times. Raise your choke in the back, and then from the ground, start your chainsaw. Put your choke back down.
All right, and there's one more. These are awesome, Darren. These rule. Fun fact, Darren keeps a chainsaw in his car, his truck at all times, in case something falls in the way or he needs to help out a friend.
Dude is being a first responder sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
So you want to have a hard hat, possibly earmuffs, some chaps, and steel-toe boots and gloves as always. I wasn't able to actually get to some of my PPE this time, so I'm just going to go over cut one log just to give a proper demonstration of how to keep the chainsaw level to make sure that each tooth has its opportunity to cut through the wood. Notice that when using the chainsaw, you want to cut more so with the bottom of the chain and the closer towards the motor. You not necessarily want to use the front, because that'll kind of cause the chainsaw to tilt. You may have, and then you'll have the possibility of putting your chain down in the dirt, and that ends up dulling it out a little bit quicker.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Darren. Does anyone have any questions for Darren?
I'm trying to think. We actually just bought a chainsaw like less than a week ago to cut up some, there's a bad storm in the Selma area in the last few weeks. So there's trees everywhere still. We had we had to get some. We were making some kind of stumps to sit on around our land. So I could have probably used the tutorial before, but no, that was helpful. Appreciate it, Darren. Yeah, we wanted to get a Husqvarna, I think.
Hey, sometimes.
What's that?
No, I was just gonna say, hey, sometimes the experience is gonna be the teacher for you. Kind of figure it out once you get it, unfortunately.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, we ended up, I think, getting a cheaper one. I got it right here, Poulan Pro, but I think you got the nicer one. Appreciate the demo.
Nah, man. When it comes to chainsaw, it just depends on what you need for the job. Like I say, I use one kind of quite regularly, so I'm gonna need something that's gonna be durable. But I mean, if you're just gonna use it, here around the house, cutting up small limbs or small trees on a not so regular basis, yeah, it's kind of no need to just go all out and get a full out Husqvarna or steal some of the higher priced ones, but more durable, I guess.
Arby asked, has anyone taken any of the chainsaw classes? I actually can answer that too. I've taken one of the chainsaw classes. It's been a hot second. It was, oh gosh, I don't know, like 8 years ago, y'all. So I need to be re-upped. But it was a 2-day course in North Carolina through Forest Service. And it was really great. Darren, can you speak to that? Have you taken any of the courses, or do you recommend any?
I've actually had to take the same one through the Forest Service before. And then the Forestry Commission came and gave a course up at the university for some of the students that were in our forestry program. So I think that was a 3-day course that we had over the summer. But as far as any types of certifications, no, I know I don't have any, but I'm not sure if you would need any or not.
All right. Any other questions for Darren or about chainsaws? Two-stroke engines?
Hey, Darren, I got one more question for you.
Shoot.
Just because, again, we were like literally this morning, we cut up a bunch of really significant logs. We actually even ripped this one that was probably like 5 feet long. We ripped it down the middle because we were trying to build a bench. But anyways, the guy I was working with showed me the kind of teeth that are right by the head of the chainsaw near the motor side. Maybe can you say a little bit about how you use those? I think he kind of showed me some, but I'm trying to make sure I understand it right.
You mean those they're kind of like guide teeth. I'm not sure the exact term of them, but they're kind of like guide teeth that are right against the blade and the motor. But
yeah, exactly.
I use those as kind of I guess to work around large logs. So if you need them, if you want to get close, that kind of keeps the chainsaw from pulling itself so far into the piece of wood as you're cutting it, and it also helps maneuver the chainsaw down or around the log, because you can kind of use that to inch around it little by little.
Yeah,
as you're
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it was really it felt like a game changer when he showed me how to use that part. It made it a lot easier than the way I was trying to do it.
Right.
So
you let the chainsaw kind of work itself. You just don't try to work the chainsaw. Don't, because it'll overwork you.
I believe that. Appreciate it.
Well, I actually had a question. When cutting down ironwood, boat arc or Osage, something like that, that's dried out, that's extremely hard. Is there any tips as far as different chains to use or anything like that?
I'm not very sure on the specific types of chains that I would probably suggest for that, but I would want to suggest that whatever you go with, try to sharpen it as good as possible, and make sure you stay as level as possible, because once you start kind of digging, it takes away from the effect of the chainsaw. It's not cutting, it's less teeth cutting at once. So you want to try to put as many teeth going through that piece of wood as possible to make the cut that much smoother.
All right, appreciate it.
We have a couple of questions in the chat. So Noah asked, do you have any tips for sharpening a chain?
Depends on which type you want to go about sharpening. There are kind of several different types. I don't have my hand sharpener in here, but you have your hand rod sharpeners, and I know now they have new sharpeners where you latch them to the end of the bar, and you press against them with the log, and you sharpen them that way. But as far as I know, I mean, well, I guess my particular way of sharpening is you kind of feel it, you know, like, is that a good, is that one, is
Oh, your audio cut out, Darren. We didn't quite get that last bit, Darren. I think your audio cut out. Can you still hear us? Okay, your audio is back now.
Oh, then let me know when.
Right, it just cut out at the very end of what you said. I'm thinking that there's a little bit of a delay going on.
Yeah, because I'm not getting any other. I think it may be me.
Yeah. Well, there are a couple of other questions in the chat. So maybe, Darren, can you see the chat?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe just responding to questions in the chat, and then we'll move on to the next sharer. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Yeah. From Rob, any tips on stump removal? No, I can't help you with that one. As I say, with a chainsaw, you don't want to get too deep into that stump, because then you're just cutting dirt and probably still living wood, well, wet wood down in those roots and stuff. So wouldn't necessarily say a chainsaw would be your best option to use once you get to certain heights on that stump.
All right, cool. Thank you, Darren. Everyone give a big virtual round of applause to Darren. Thank you so much. And also for being our first share, breaking the ice, literally cutting through the ice with a chainsaw. Thank you so much. And so
No, I enjoyed it, sure.
Thank you so much. All right, so our next share is going to come from iPhone. Who's iPhone? You messaged me. We want to get you before your phone dies, or maybe. Oh, maybe the phone did die. Okay, that's grim. But maybe iPhone will return after their phone charges. Okay, so next we're going to go to Joan. Joan Robertson. She recorded a video of her favorite hoe. We have 2 of them. Joan, do you want to say anything before we roll camera?
No, it's probably self-explanatory. I had a long story to tell about another story about another time with anyway, I'll save it for some other time.
Thank you, Joan. Okay, so I'm gonna play your videos. Hold on, y'all.
There was no audio on that at all.
Yeah, sorry about that, y'all. I'm working on finding our audio. All right, let's try this again. And let me know in the chat if you hear it. Thank you for your patience.
I've had this hoe for a long time. It's very simple. It has a point on one end and a square on the other, and it's easy to make a furrow or to weed with the other side. It's good to keep this edge kind of sharp. We're just running over a grinder or a file every once in a while, and probably about time for a new handle. And I'll put this further out. It should be out on the end. But anyway, it's lightweight, and I have a long way to walk down to my garden or down to the other garden. So I just always love this tool. I feel like I can accomplish a lot. And this year, I discovered a new use for this tool, and that would be, oh, there it is, harvesting my figs.
Nice.
So
Delicious. Wonderful. And what's your name and what's the name of your farm?
oh, I'm Joan Robertson, and my farm is called Luddite Farm.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joan at Luddite Farm, and this is my favorite tool. This is this very simple hoe with a pointy part and a square part. And if you keep the square part sharpened, it's good for hoeing. And the skinny part is good for making a furrow. Since this is a demonstration, well, I have black Spanish radishes from two different sources. One is Baker Creek and one is Beyond Organic Seeds. I've never ordered anything from them before, so I thought I'd check them out. They're in Madras, Oregon. And so I've made these a nice big space to be. Oh, and I can use my favorite tool just to turn it sideways and just pull the dirt back over the seeds.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Joan.
Voila.
Woohoo. That was so great.
Okay, well, so I was going to tell the story, and it kind of relate. I watched the youth campfire. I watched that this morning on Facebook, and that was so wonderful, and like I don't know, overcome that, people have this particular mindset about all sorts of things, but anyway, it made me think of a time when I was working with kids after school, and I found all these like kid-size tools, and so I got all these little hoes and shovels and stuff, and I had these small gardens at several different schools. I traveled around to like 4 and then 8 and then 10 schools. But anyway, so when I distributed these little hoes and shovels, there was a 5th grade boy who had one of the hoes in his hand, and he said, "Oh, this is like being slaves." And I thought, oh no, that's not that's not what we're doing. And this is not about slavery at all. It's about empowerment. This is about learning how to take care of ourselves and learn how to grow our own food so that we aren't part of a system of slavery. And anyway, I didn't say that, then, and I always, I never think of the thing I'm supposed to say at that time, the right time. But I thought about that this morning, watching the campfire from last night, and so I don't, getting the right message across is, I don't know, getting the right message across to children is, I guess, like something I think about a lot. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Joan. Any questions for Joan about this amazing hoe? Yeah, favorite brand is, and then Noah also has a similar hoe and uses it all the time. Where did you get yours?
Where did I get my hoe?
Yeah.
Oh, I got it at the Collinsville Trade Day. It's a huge flea market they have on Saturdays. They have all kinds of tools there. I've gotten a lot of horse-drawn tools there too.
Any favorite brand of tools?
Pioneer. They manufacture horse-drawn tools.
Awesome. What's your favorite horse-drawn tool? I'm curious.
Well, just a simple turning plow, but then I have a manure spreader, and so the idea of a horse spreading their own manure in fields or gardens is exciting to me.
Cool. All right, any more questions for Joan? Alrighty, we're going to move on. Big round of applause to Joan. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Joan, so much. And I'll just read through who we have next so that you can know when you're coming up, so it's not super scary as much. So Noah's gonna come up next. We have a great YouTube video about a greens harvester that's really darn cool. And then Kaylor, and then Trevor, if you're here. Trevor's here, right? Okay, I don't think he's here anymore. And then we're looking for submissions. So direct message to the chat, get ready to share after that. Okay.
Hey, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Brendan. Just a really quick thing. I'm assuming that Joan didn't mean that like we are on the edge of being in some like enslavement situation like in the 1800s. I think it maybe sounded just a little bit like that, but I think it might just be helpful to just say that.
Oh, no, but I meant like a child, a 5th grade child. Like that was their thought about what a hoe, holding a hoe in their hand. Like they had this, TV or, real, whatever, historical, almost like a romanticized idea of that they were out hoeing in the fields like a slave. And I didn't think quick enough to say, no, this is about empowerment and, freeing ourselves from a capitalist food system. Is that clear?
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks for the clarification. I think it could. I just wanted to make sure it didn't.
I mean, that is what the
Check
child was supposing about, but
right.
you know, I always did my best to explain that we were out here outside to, first of all, enjoy being outside. And the best book I read, like right at the end of that time, was called Last Child in the Woods, and it was a book about how pretty much every problem that children face today can really be attributed to a lack of unstructured time outdoors. And so I always tried to, give them that as well, because if they're outside, they're on the playground, or if they're playing sports or whatever. But when I was a kid, we had tons of unstructured time outdoors, and I feel like, my generation's just, a lot different because of it.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. Just a sensitive topic, so I just wanted to check in. Appreciate it.
Oh, I know, and I was, but really reluctant to bring it up, but it's just something. This thing, I just remember that, child saying that, and just feeling, and then like regretting not having the right response when he said that. Sorry.
I just want to share what Aubrey said in the chat. Aubrey said that we ran an ed farm, and that comes up at least once a season. Tricky but important discussion to have with kids when it comes up.
Yeah, I just wanted to validate for Joan that, because we have kids who come here and they farm with us, and like I said, at least once a season we have a student who says, "Oh, this is like slavery." And over the seasons of doing that, we have, it's hard. It's a really, really hard discussion. But we've started to figure out, well, I don't know if I would even say figure out, but we've been trying to have those discussions with kids and figure out how to do that in an age appropriate way and help them see the differences between coming to an ed farm and learning about farming and, being someone who is enslaved. So just to say that you're not the only one who's experienced that, and it's really, really tricky.
Thanks.
All right, y'all. Any more to say about this before we move on to our next? I'm really glad that we revisited that. And also, I'd like to maybe kind of put an open, if anyone has any resources, especially white people who are educators, talking about that, putting that in there in the chat. Okay, so next we're going to turn it to Noah with the amazing greens harvester. So Noah, take it away, and then I'll play your video after.
Can everybody hear me okay? Thumbs up? Okay, great. Well, I'm excited to be able to be with y'all today. Really enjoyed it so far. There's lots of neat tools on a small scale farm, but Charlotte and I were talking, and she was, we had mentioned about our greens harvester, and thought that would be a neat thing to share today, because I feel like it's a neat tool that's both high tech in the way that it is a relatively new tool that allows, but it allows you to do way more work than, that we've done with scissors in terms of harvesting greens in the past, but it's also very small scale and simple in the way that it allows us to leverage human labor rather than just completely replacing it. So how many people here use, or let's say, how many people here have heard of Quick Cuts Greens Harvester? It's one of the ones that is, powered by a drill, and you can harvest lettuce and stuff with it. Anybody's heard of it? Okay, anybody have one? All right, this is exciting. I feel like it's one of those things that everybody would already have by now. So basically, it's a way to use a cordless drill to be able to harvest greens on a small scale, but at a, it's hard to even imagine going back to harvesting in my hand after using this. So let's go ahead and play the video, and then we will, that'll explain it a little better, and then y'all can ask any questions you have after that.
Well, it's early morning and I'm about to pick some arugula here. And first I'm going through the bed to see if there's any weeds that would get in the way of the harvester, so I don't have to separate them out afterwards. And it's best to pick your greens in the morning while the dew's still on them before it gets too hot. So right now it's about 7:45, so I'm pushing it as far as getting out here and getting them picked. But let's get the picker cranked up and get these things harvested. So this is our salad greens harvester. It uses a battery powered drill. All the greens go in the back here, and then we have a little blade and that rotates back and forth. You can see the pulley system from the drill to the blade, and then these ropes spin to pull the greens into the basket. So you can see here when I pull the drill, when you're actually harvesting, do it like that. Woohoo! Almost done. We're about to overflow our tub. Just got a little spot left. Last little bit. Overflowing for sure. Praise the Lord for our greens picker. We just, I got the guard put back on the blade. We're gonna hang it up now after we also rinse it off. I'm gonna hang it up now on its little hook here. Here we go. Wait till next time. A little past 8 o'clock, 80 degrees, and about 73% humidity. So here's our arugula harvest for the day. A full tub of beautiful, beautiful leaves. Praise the Lord. Look at that green color. A little bit here, I'll rinse them, and then we'll dry them and bag them up ready for market.
Alrighty, thank you, Noah. That was a great video. Anyone have any questions for Noah?
How you doing? What do you do for the food safety? I see where it's turning with the wheel with the cloth that's running over it, and I see a potential there for food safety contamination.
Yep, I mean it's like with anything when you're harvesting, you got to keep it clean, and that's one thing that I've heard in terms of people's concern with the greens harvester is with the cloth on there. You know, it's not, you can't, like, as far as sanitation and stuff, but we just do our very best to keep it all clean. I haven't had any problems so far myself. I really try to focus more on keeping things clean and not just sterilizing everything with bleach all the time. But so far we haven't had any issues with that. But yeah, I'm open to anybody's input. I'm always trying to improve that side of what we're doing, so. in the chat there.
Okay.
We got it. There's a company called Farmer's Friend, and you can look them up. They have a website, Farmer's Friend LLC, I think, or farmersfriend.com, and they sell the Quick Cuts Greens Harvester. I think it cost $600 and something, which overall is not a huge cost when you consider the profitability of greens. And when I'm working primarily by myself, then it makes it feasible for me to actually grow and harvest greens on a larger scale than would be I'd be able to do if I was harvesting it by hand. So it paid for itself pretty quickly.
What about the manual cutter versus the drill is what Russell was saying.
Russell, could you clarify? So are you saying what I used to do before with scissors versus the harvester?
No, there's a manual harvester that you take with a scoop, and it's got the sharp blade, and you just run across it, pushing it, and there's nothing turning, and it goes by simply force by you just going over the top of it, and it puts greens into the hopper.
Yeah, I think I may be familiar with what you're talking about. It kind of looks similar, but it just has a blade on the bottom, and you kind of saw it back and forth, and it goes into the bag on the back. Is that what you're talking about?
That's correct. You can either you saw, or either the blade is sharp. It's just when you just move along, it just clips it as it goes. And it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick.
Yeah. Have you used? Do you have one of those and used it?
No, I haven't, but I have seen them personally. People use them, and they're pretty efficient.
So my understanding is those are great. The problem that you tend to run into is, sometimes our stands of lettuce or arugula, if they're not thick enough, when you try to go along, it just pushes that over and it doesn't actually go back into the hopper. So if it's a thick stand, it'll resist that blade and you can actually saw into it and it works pretty well. But if you have a sparser stand, then the benefit of the drill brush, the roller on the top, is that it pulls that back across the blade as it goes forward. So even if you have a crop stand that's not as thick, it will still cut it and not just push it over. So.
All right, any more questions? Anything else you want to share about Noah?
Storage of tools is always important. I was noticing when I saw that video, I had hung it up in that closet and it was up off the ground and it was all nice and everything. But I think it was last winter, I went in there in the springtime and even though it was hanging right, I didn't even have it on the wall anymore, right in the middle of the ceiling, a rat had come and decided that it needed a lot of the brush off the top for its nest and had chewed all the little pieces off the top. And so I had to completely order a new thing. And now I have it hanging up in a tight, in our wash station where nothing can get to it. So it's so important. You can have nice tools, but you just really have to go the extra mile to make sure that you store them properly, whether they're ones that are going to rest outside or they're, especially if they're ones that are going to be handling food, that you put them in, that you really make sure that they're not in a place where critters can get to them, because it can be costly to repair.
Thank you, Noah. All right, I guess we'll move on to Kaylor. So excited about Kaylor and the stirrup hoe. So Kaylor, do you want to start us off?
Hi, can you hear me when I have the mask on? I'm here with my mom. We visit her on Sundays. Can you see? Is it? Okay. Yeah, we were cold on the back porch, so we came inside. The only thing I would say to start off is my mom, who grew up on a farm, can't imagine what you could say about a hoe that takes 3 minutes. So I'll see what you guys think about that when we're done. Hi, I'm gonna say good morning because when I'm recording this, it's Saturday morning at 8 South in downtown Montgomery. I'm Kaylor, and I promised Charlotte I would talk about stirrup hose, which is a tool that I'm using a lot right now and have used at different farms in different places where I've worked. A stirrup hoe is a great long-handled weeding tool. It has like a hinge on it so that it works, it moves under the ground and slices weeds. And it works really well when you use it on a push stroke as well as a pull stroke. So you can kind of dance with it through your field, down your rows, in your garden beds. I've used it in heavy clay soil with rocks and really sandy soil. You can see I'm using it here in the gravel, which we do weed with our stirrup hose a couple of times a year because we don't spray Roundup. And yeah, I think it makes weeding more fun than it usually is. And I really enjoy using this tool. I brought 2 sizes. We have the 7-inch stirrup hoe and the 3.5-inch hoe. This one I've been using in our beds around some of our kale and collards, just incorporating fertilizer as well as taking out some of the smaller weeds. This one is definitely the workhorse for larger areas. The last 2 things I'll say real quick is that the ways we take care of these so that we can keep them for the rest of our lives are when we knock the sand off at the end of every time we use them with our grill brush, which works really good for that, scraping things off. We have a big tub full of sand and boiled linseed oil that we coat the blades with at the end of the day. You can sharpen these too using a file if they get kind of banged up, if you have a lot of rocks in your soil. And then the last maintenance thing we do is we keep the handles from splitting by coating them with boiled linseed oil a couple of times a year. That's pretty much it for these tools. The last thing I wanted to say was that if you're using long-handled tools, you want to make sure you can get a handle that fits your height. So if you're tall, you want the longest handle possible. You don't want to use these and be bent over because that's going to take your back out in the long term. So we want to do this as long as possible, right? And we want it to be as enjoyable as possible. So having a tool that fits your body is really important. So if you're using any long-handled tool, you want to try to stand up as tall as possible as you're using them and not be bent over so that you don't injure your back. So that's what I have for the stirrup hose this morning. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, I would say that those stirrup hose came from Johnny's Selected Seeds. And one thing I was thinking about since doing the video is that, so I work for an organization and those tools belong to the organization. So if I were to start my own farm, while I do have a few tools there that belong to me, you know, the bigger hoe is about $60. So if you started adding up high quality tools that you want to have because they're going to last forever, but it's a, you know, there are barriers to acquiring them. So I was just going to put out, you know, there are really smart people in this group who might think of ways that we could help people access better tools if those barriers exist for people. My other tool idea, suggestion, it's not really my idea, it's just something I found, is that if you live near people whose heritage is more connected to small scale agriculture than we are in the United States right now, you can find some good hand tools in, say, like I have bought several hand tools at Mr. Chin's grocery store in Montgomery. I have a really good hoe that's more of a chop hoe, and as well as a sickle that I've bought there. So that's just a suggestion for finding affordable and quality tools. That's all I got.
Thank you, Kaylor. Anyone have any questions for Kaylor?
Russell, I don't have a question, but I know those stirrup hoes work. I have several of them. Matter of fact, I have the short handle one as well for working in beds. And I also have one that is on a big wheel where you do it and it's real wide, and I push it with the wheel. And you can get these really, I spent nowhere near the money for $60 for mine. And I was able to get them on Amazon or eBay and get them right there. But those stirrup hoes do quick work. I've told a lot of people about them. It's the best hoeing device I've ever seen that you can use by your hand and do it with a quick work. I really appreciate it. You're absolutely right.
What kind of wheel hoe do you have? What's the one on the wheel? Which version of that do you have?
It's the metal one with the big wheel in the front, and it looks like I had to buy the stirrup one to add on to it. It had the cultivator, it had the scratcher as well that you can do with the weeds. But when I put the stirrup hoe on the back side of it, it only cost, I think it was less than $100 with the big one. And I had it, and it's metal, and I used it for years, and I can go down the rows with it, and it works great.
Wait, I'm kind of confused how that one works. The one that is on wheels. I wonder if there's a link or something somebody could share. If not, briefly describe it a little bit.
I'll see if I can find it right quick for you.
Appreciate it. Sounds useful.
Thank you for finding that, Russell. Anyone else have any questions while Russell's finding that link? Okay, so everyone give a virtual round of applause to Kaylor. I'm realizing that I forgot to also give an applause to Noah, so I know he's not on the call anymore, but let's also give him an applause. Thank you so much. It's a brave virtual tool sharing. Y'all are great. Okay, so now it is open. The floor is open. I know, let's see, did iPhone come back? iPhone, you're back. Did you want to share about your tool?
Sure.
Oh, it's
Hey,
you.
I'm Trevor.
I didn't know who it was. Okay, awesome.
All right, I've got a Jang cedar here. So the idea is you have this first wheel for traction on the bed. Then there's a little thing right here that makes a furrow. You have a hopper for your seeds, and it drops down in between.
And Trevor, sorry to interrupt you. Just so you know, the video. Hey, Trevor, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just so you know, the video is choppy. So the more you can sort of linger in one place, I think the easier it'll be for us to see, if that's helpful.
Sure. Okay, so a wheel for traction right here in the front. Not good. Little thing to make a furrow in the soil on the bed. There's a hopper for your seed.
Your video is still frozen, at least on mine. If that's
down.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the video is still frozen. Sorry, Trevor.
No worries. I'm away from my.
Yeah, your audio is cutting in and out too. Okay. Well, while he's coming back, maybe I'll just take an opportunity to share a couple of mine. While he's coming back, I have them on the table just in case of the situation. Okay, so my favorite, I love my Hori Hori knife. Does anyone else use these? Yeah, just the best thing ever. I love, well, this one doesn't have it, but my other one has measurements on it, which I love. It has the serrated side and is just a great all-around tool for everything, great all-around hand tool. And I have recently started learning a little bit about blacksmithing, and my instructor made me this tool that I've been wanting, like I kind of envisioning for a bit. And it's based off of a Cobra tool, if y'all have seen those. So this is sort of like a cobra, but with like a head that is it's sort of like a leaf shape, if you can see. So you kind of go like that. It looks kind of scary when I'm just holding it up like a meat hook on this camera. But anywho, it's really, really great for weeding. I'm looking for a handle if anyone has someone that can make handles. So, but those are my two in the meantime, hopefully while Trevor's internet comes back. Does anyone else want to go? We've got about 5 more minutes of sharing.
So how did you use it?
Which one? This one?
Yes. Is that a weeder?
Yeah, it's okay. I think it's really good for planting viney things really fast. So when I worked on an indigo farm for a little bit, and I was planting like Japanese indigo, which is, I mean, honestly, kind of sprouts a little bit like a tomato. Like it's like at all those nodes, it'll make new roots. So I can just really, really quickly put a line in the ground and then stick the plant in, and I'm going really fast. So I've liked using it that way. Cobra hand tools is an actual thing, an actual brand. And so my knockoff is not like, anyway, I guess it's kind of not okay, but this is my knockoff Cobra.
It works, and it's been around a long time. Matter of fact, I've seen it. It's an old tool.
I think it's so good. Oldie but a goodie. I'm going to say it. All right. Anyone else?
I'll just mention one mobile wash station. I made one of these actually when I lived in Nashville and was working with the Nashville Food Project. And I'll put a little link in the chat to the one that we made. Kind of clever, and you can hopefully this link will work for people. But it's got wheels, so you can push it, and it's got spots for like, I think it was 6 different kind of trays, washing trays for the produce when you're in the field, and a place to kind of hook the hose and run it from a distance, so you can just wash it right as you pick something. So that was kind of a clever tool. Maybe people can tell me if that link doesn't work. I can try to make sure it does.
Brendan, you made that? I saw that at the National Food Project once, and I was like, that is a very cool green.
Well, all back to oh shoot, it's been a minute. What is her name? She's not there anymore. She was the farm manager.
Not Tolu, someone else.
With that,
Christine or something.
yeah, Christine. Yeah, she was the brainchild behind that and had the some basic guidelines for how to build it. So myself and another intern did it. It was a lot of fun though.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, if you click on it, it tells you to request access. I saw that comment. Go ahead and do that, and I'll let people request access. I'll try to fix it in the meantime, so we don't have to do that.
All right, and Do any of y'all have experience with two-wheel walk-behind tractors? Any brands to recommend? I'm just gonna throw out Daily Tillers. They're local to, I believe, Alabama. Maybe they're in Tennessee, but they're close by. Daily's Tillers. I'll put them in. Small company owned by a farmer.
I don't have any experience with the tillers and things, but one tool that I'm trying to get my video up that I'm making right now for my girlfriend is this here. So we're gonna put pegboard on the back, and then let's see if I can get this thing to flip around. I'm new to Zoom. So I'm gonna put pegboard on the back here so she can hang all of her tools. This little cabinet's gonna go underneath. I've put a sink, and then it's on casters, and it'll actually have shelves underneath. And then on the side, I've plumbed the sink to where it'll connect to a quick connect for a water hose, and then I'm gonna have buckets sitting underneath so that she can do all of her planting and stuff on it. She can wash vegetables or stuff here, and then move it around the yard as she needs it.
That is rad. Is that a Christmas present?
It's sort of a Christmas present that she knows about because we live together, so she
No
sees
hiding
me building it.
Wow.
But I'm actually going to put a roof on the top so that she can sit out here if it's raining, or if it's, we live down in Texas, so if it's 100 degrees outside, she's in the shade.
Great. That looks so good. Wow.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that's a great Christmas and all-around gift.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Can everyone just give a lot of love and support in the chat and just more applause for everyone that shared? Great. So we're drawing to the end of our time, and I just want to thank everybody for coming. And I want to encourage you to become ASAN members if you're not already. Membership means so much, and being a member, you get to make decisions about how ASAN is run. And so excited that you could join us for the Food and Farm Forum. I'm going to drop information about how to become an ASAN member in the chat. It'll be just a moment. But in the meantime, I'm going to launch a poll about this session to get some feedback from you. It's just 3 questions. It's a 1 through 5 sort of thing, so it won't take you very long. So I'm going to launch that poll, going to put information about becoming an ASAN member in the chat, and just want to thank you all wholeheartedly for coming today to this tool share, and I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday.